Well, good morning, everybody. It's Travels with Dada here. And as I thought about this morning, I realized that the video I'm making right now is one that I've seen many other YouTubers make. And now I really understand why. And what brings this up is my recent decision to get a home base in New Mexico. And I have learned that disclosing that location can be, if you're on YouTube, it can be a very big mistake. So it's the reason I'm not revealing anything about where my little place is that I'm renting. Why? What could happen? Well, you know, the one that you probably think about is uninvited guests. That happens, and what people don't realize is this. For example, when I'm camped out in the desert with friends in La Posa South in Quartzsite. Those of you that don't know, this is just, you know, open camping, and groups tend to camp together, and it's a large area. This year, I was very open about where I was camping. I was showing it on camera, and I got a lot of viewers that came to say hi, which is great until you understand this dynamic. When you're camping, and especially if you're a YouTuber, and you get what they refer to as trolls, people that don't wish you well. When you hear something and you see someone approaching your door, you don't know whether this is friend or foe until you open the door and you go out there and you engage them and you find out whether they are here because they like you and want to meet you, or they're here because they hate you and want to do you harm. And that's a real thing. You know, I don't know that there are a lot of examples of people getting real physical harm in that situation, but there are certainly situations where people come to give them a piece of their mind about what you're saying on the internet, and it can be pretty uncomfortable. And the other thing that unintended consequences of me being open was I opened up all my friends to that as well, because they were being approached. Do you know where Rob is? Do you know where Travels with Dottie is? So they have people they don't know approaching their camps, and they don't know, is this a friend or a foe? Because after a while, they knew if a stranger comes up, they're probably looking for Rob. And they felt very protective of me, but I created a hardship for all of them by disclosing my location. So what really brought this up is I got a lot of questions about the little place that I'm renting, the cost, questions about utilities, things like that. And I've deleted most of them because I'm not going to answer those questions. Well, why? What could people possibly do with that information? Well, I have YouTubers that I know personally that the following things have happened to. It's very easy anonymously, if you know a full-time RVer is living on a piece of property and you know where the property is, you can call the county planning and zoning and say, I have a complaint. I think they're doing it wrong. I don't think they're following all the rules. And you can do that anonymously. And most jurisdictions will investigate it. And I know of a situation where they would investigate it, everything was cool, then they'd get another complaint and they'd have to go out again. Now, nothing happened as a result of that because they weren't in violation, but it's uncomfortable. It's an unpleasant experience. The other thing that people do is they call 911 anonymously and just make up really serious stuff like, there's a guy at this address with a gun and he's threatening someone. Hang up. They will show up in force and bang on your door and you'll be surrounded with guys with guns. And that's not something I'm making up. That's something that's happened to someone that I know. And it's all about people seeing you on YouTube, knowing where you are, and here's a way I can get at them that's a step above the trolling in the comments. I mean, people that troll, they know I can easily shut them off from commenting. So if they want to escalate to the next level, they generally have to do it in the real world. And so I understand all of you that are asking questions are totally pure of heart and just genuinely curious about what I'm doing and what the logistics are. And I don't think any one of them is of what I described. But if I start answering those questions in the comments or in my videos, then the nefarious people can get that information. And believe me, they're out there. And sadly these days, if I use the wrong word in a video, I've gotten threats for using the wrong word, like a term that's considered a political hot thing. I'm not going to tell you what the word was because it'll start all over again, but I used a word that got me threatened. So anyway, I really hope you all understand, and it's not personal. You know, some of the questions have been pretty kind of in tone, very direct and demanding, which I don't understand. And some people feel a sense of entitlement that they have the right to know my personal information. And the thing that I've been guilty of that, you know, people that have been doing this that I know, they've been doing it longer than me, tell me, Rob, you reveal too much. You say too much. And I get that. But being open and honest and vulnerable is what I want to be on this channel. But I don't want to put myself at risk in circumstances like in courtside. I don't want to put my friends at risk either. It's not my decision to make. So, and people are asking about George. And I mentioned this yesterday on the video about George. I'm living in two places here in the trailer and in the little house that I'm renting. And they're feet apart, but George, if I pick up George and walk outside the trailer, George's immediate reaction is complete fear, thinking we're traveling again, and he freaks out. But I'm hoping to be able to do that on a daily basis because I spend so much time in the house that I want George to be with me. One of the things I've been waiting on is another top-down litter box, and that's going to be delivered today. So probably tomorrow will be the first time I bring George over. And there are plenty of little places for him to hide in there, and I want him to get used to going back and forth and not freaking out. He's very sensitive and very nervous about leaving the safety of the trailer. So I'm trying to do that. Also, you'll notice when you see him, both sides of him are shaved because he's a very long-haired cat, and the matting got so bad the only alternative was to shave the mats out. And I'm going to bring it up here on the screen. If any of you have that problem, I found a pet razor that is perfect. And I mean, George, when I went to shave the mats off, was purring. So it's variable speed. I had tried like a Braun one that's made for pets, and they're all just like very uncomfortable, and it's risky. You don't want to ever break the skin or anything. The other thing you have to be careful of, if you take off too much hair, you want to make sure that they're warm enough, because they regulate their temperature with that hair. But George is doing really well. It's going to look a little funny for a while, but we got rid of all these huge mats that were just really just big and against the skin, and you couldn't clip them out, you couldn't brush them out. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more diligent in brushing so this doesn't happen again. So anyway, that's George. George is inside behind me now, and sleeps up in the bed with me and Dottie every night, and so George is fine. Let's see, anything else? My hip is doing good. I still got a little, a little nerve pain. They do that. I think there's minor temporary damage to some nerves in the leg when they do that hip replacement procedure, and it's getting better and better as time goes on. And yesterday, let me see how many steps I did yesterday. I think I'm doing pretty well. I didn't check yet. Let's see. Step count, week, month. All right. That's average. I don't want the average. I want 4,062 yesterday. So I'm doing pretty good, I think. So I'm getting more and more steps in every day, more and more exercise, and so that's going really well. And hang on, let me show you Dottie. There's Dottie on the porch. You being a good girl. On your see, there's a little fence there, so I can let her hang out on the porch even when I'm inside. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you on another one tomorrow.